Are you sure it's safe to run this test, Dr. Lira? The question came from Tomas, his voice trembling through the static hum of the containment chamber. Sparks of blue light flickered across the floor, scattering reflections along the metallic walls like nervous fireflies. Dr. Lira Vein didn't answer right away. Her dark eyes stayed fixed on the pulsing sphere of light floating in the containment field. Small, radiant, alive. "This isn't about safety anymore," she finally said, her tone steady but distant. "It's about understanding what we truly are." Outside the reinforced glass, the research station Halcyon drifted in silent orbit above a dying world. The planet below was a wasteland of dust storms and ash seas, yet it held one mysterious signal that humanity could not explain, a constant rhythmic pulse buried deep within its magnetic field. That signal had inspired Project Aurora. The goal was simple: reach out to the unknown and see if it reached back. In the sterile silence of the lab, even the faint buzz of electricity seemed to hold its breath. The air itself felt dense, aware. Tomas checked the datapad nervously. Frequency match confirmed. Power stable at 93%. "Proceed," Lira said quietly. A low hum grew in the air. The sphere brightened, its glow shifting through colors that no human eye was meant to see. It pulsed again, perfectly timed to the heartbeat of the planet below. Lira leaned closer to the glass. "Come on," she whispered. "Say something." And then it did. A voice, not from any speaker or transmission, filled the room. It was soft, layered, almost melodic. "Neither male nor female, neither near nor far, I hear you, children of carbon." Every muscle in Tomas's body froze. His eyes darted toward Lira, who stood motionless, transfixed. Did you hear that?" he stammered, but Lira didn't answer. Her mind was spinning, her pulse quickened. Children of carbon. Whoever, whatever this was, it knew them. The sphere trembled and the instruments erupted in a storm of static. Readings spiked, lights flickered, alarms screamed through the lab. Tomas shouted, "Field stability dropping. We're losing control." Lira's voice cut through the chaos, firm and sharp. "Shut it down now!" But before Tomas could reach the emergency cutoff, the sphere expanded violently, its edges shimmering like liquid glass. A wave of light burst outward, swallowing the room in a blinding flare. Every console overloaded. The sound was deafening, like thunder and whispers all at once. Then, silence. The light dimmed, flickered, and then vanished entirely. The alarms went dead. The hum of the station ceased. Only the faint, uneven sound of human breathing filled the room. "Lira?" Tomas's voice was small, almost childlike. She opened her eyes. The lab was gone. She stood in a vast field of silver grass under a violet sky. The air shimmered with faint whispers like wind through chimes made of light. Tomas was there too, his eyes wide with disbelief. "Where are we?" he whispered. Before Lira could answer, a deep vibration rolled through the ground, gentle but vast, as if the world itself had exhaled. The sky rippled like a curtain of silk. And then, from all directions, the same voice returned. "You sought to understand the field," it said, "and now you are within it." Lira's pulse pounded in her ears. She turned in slow circles, scanning the endless horizon. "Who are you?" she demanded. "I am the collective," the voice replied. "The echo of all that has lived and all that has ended," Tomas whispered. "Are we dead?" The voice paused, almost amused. "You are awake." Lira stared at the sky, her heart hammering. "We just wanted to understand." "You wished for understanding," the voice said softly, "but you bring something the universe has forgotten." "What is that?" "Defiance." The silver grass began to burn, flames of light that gave no heat but cast shadows that moved on their own. Tomas stepped back, fear flooding his face. "Lira, what's happening?" She didn't answer. Her gaze was locked on the horizon where something vast and luminous was beginning to rise. A shape, colossal and endless like a living constellation, moving toward them. The sound returned, low, resonant, alive, echoing through their bones. In that moment, as the sky itself seemed to breathe, Lira realized one thing with terrifying clarity. They hadn't found the unknown. They had woken it. The silver horizon rippled like liquid glass as the colossal shape drifted closer. It wasn't walking, flying, or floating. It simply was, moving through space as if distance had lost meaning. Its form shimmered and folded, rearranging like a living tapestry woven from starlight. Lira stood frozen. Her scientific mind fought to categorize what she saw. Energy field? Projection? Hallucination? But none of it fit. The presence before her wasn't just vast, it felt aware. Behind her, Tomas whispered, "It's beautiful." His voice trembled with awe and fear in equal measure. The air vibrated. A low resonant tone passed through their bodies like a second heartbeat. Then came the voice again, clearer now, softer, like thunder whispering through silk. "You entered the veil between thought and matter. Few ever return from here." Lira's throat was dry. "We didn't mean to come here. We were conducting an experiment. You sought connection. You found consequence." Around them, the silver grass shifted, forming waves that responded to their emotions. When Tomas panicked, the ground darkened. When Lira steadied her breath, light pulsed beneath her feet. "This place," she murmured. "It reacts to us." "Yes," the voice said. "It is the field of origin, where thought becomes form, where life's echoes remain after their bodies fade." Tomas's brow furrowed. "You mean, we're inside consciousness itself?" The voice paused, considering. "Perhaps. You call it consciousness. We call it the thread." Lira turned slowly, scanning the vast expanse of violet sky. "If you are the collective, then you've seen every kind of life that's ever existed?" "Yes, countless civilizations. Stars born and undone, species that learned peace and those that vanished before understanding it." Her curiosity sparked despite her fear. "Then tell me, what do you see in us?" The light above shifted to a pale gold. "We see chaos, fragile bodies, endless struggle, pain woven with purpose." It hesitated. "We see something we cannot explain." Lira frowned. "What?" The voice lowered as though speaking only to her. "You resist even in peace. Every species that touched this place surrendered, dissolved into harmony. But you, your kind, push against it. You fight to remain separate." Tomas shook his head. "Because we don't want to disappear. Yet in resistance you suffer," the collective said gently. "You bleed, you grieve, you end." Lira looked down at her trembling hands. "Maybe that's what makes us real." The light around them dimmed, and for the first time the collective sounded uncertain. "Explain." She took a step forward, voice trembling but firm. "We fall, but we rise. We fail, but we try again. We're not meant for perfection. We're meant for progress. Maybe that's what you don't understand." The air pulsed. For a long moment, nothing moved. Then softly the voice said, "You are incomplete." Lira almost smiled. "Exactly." But before she could say more, the sky erupted in color. Flashes of memory, millions of them, filled the air. Visions of alien worlds, forgotten species, and strange faces swirled around them like ghosts of history. Tomas fell to his knees, clutching his head. "It's too much. Lira, make it stop." Lira reached for him, but the light was already consuming everything. "You asked for understanding," said the collective, its tone shifting to sorrow. "Now see the truth of all things." A wave of blinding white tore across the horizon. And suddenly, they were standing in the middle of a vast chamber, surrounded by towering figures made of translucent light. Each figure shimmered like crystal, voices overlapping in soft harmony. Lira realized they were minds, the consciousnesses of beings long gone, preserved in this living field. "Welcome to the mirror of souls," said the collective. "Every thought ever felt, reflected here." One of the glowing figures stepped forward and took shape. To Lira's shock, it looked human, like her, yet not. Its eyes held galaxies. It spoke in her own voice. "You seek meaning in pain." Lira's breath caught. "You're me. I am what you left behind, the part that breaks but never yields." Tomas backed away, whispering, "Lira, what is happening?" Her reflection smiled faintly. "This is what they don't understand. This is what makes us human." The chamber began to vibrate, and cracks spread across the mirrored floor, scattering light into infinity. The collective's voice deepened, resonating through them both. "Your kind's defiance disturbs the balance. It will destroy you." Lira stared into the reflection of her own eyes. "Then we'll destroy ourselves trying to live." The mirror shattered. Light poured in from every direction, blinding, searing, infinite. And as everything dissolved into radiance, one final whisper echoed through the void. "Perhaps. Weakness is not what we thought it was." Then silence. Lira gasped for air. The world flickered like a dying projection, silver fields flashing into black void, the sky folding into itself. Tomas clutched his temples, his body trembling beneath the unseen weight of thought. The voice of the collective echoed through the collapse. The balance is ruptured. Your defiance corrodes the harmony. But Lira, dizzy and defiant, steadied herself. No, it's not defiance. It's identity. The light dimmed. The endless radiance twisted into focus, condensing into something sharper. A vast floating mirror emerged from the shifting horizon. An obsidian oval, tall as a mountain, smooth as frozen water. Lira stared at it, her reflection rippling across its dark surface. But it wasn't her alone. Behind her, hundreds, no thousands of shapes appeared. Shadows of other humans. Echoes of choices, failures, triumphs. Tomas stepped closer, awe and fear merging in his voice. It's showing us, Lira whispered. No, it's testing us. The collective's voice softened. Every being who enters the field faces the mirror. It reveals the truth they hide. Most dissolve, accepting their reflection. Few endure. Tomas's reflection began to move on its own. It looked at him with haunted eyes. You could have saved them, it said in a voice too familiar, his own. You let the shuttle fall, he stumbled back. No, that wasn't my fault. But you remember it every night, the reflection said, stepping out of the mirror, solid and alive. You remember their screams. Tomas fell to his knees. Stop. Please stop. Lira turned toward the mirror, but it had already begun to change for her too. The image rippled. Her reflection now showed her years ago. Younger, desperate, standing in front of the university board, pleading for funding. Her reflection's voice was cold. You wanted to understand the universe because you were afraid to face yourself. Lira froze. That's not true. The reflection stepped closer, mirroring her every breath. You said knowledge would make you strong, but you're still searching for someone to tell you that you matter. Her heart pounded. You don't know me. I am you, it whispered. The part that breaks every time you pretend you're whole. For a long moment, silence. Then Lira straightened. If that's true, she said softly, then I'm the one who decides what happens next. The reflection blinked, surprised. What do you mean? I mean, Lira said, I can still choose. The moment she said it, cracks began to spread across the mirror's surface. Thin at first, like veins of light, then wider, brighter. The air vibrated. The collective's tone changed, urgent now. Stop, you disrupt the pattern. Tomas looked up, his eyes wild. Lira, what are you doing? She took a step toward the shattering glass. They said we don't belong because we resist. Maybe that's the point. Maybe that's what makes us human. The mirror exploded. Shards of obsidian light burst outward, each one reflecting moments of memory. Human history, laughter, war, art, sorrow, all spinning through the air like starlight caught in a storm. And suddenly, they weren't in the field anymore. They were everywhere. They saw cities rise and fall, oceans form and fade, faces they'd never known smiling and weeping across centuries. Humanity's entire emotional spectrum unfolded before them, its beauty and its violence, its cruelty and its love. Tomas whispered through tears, They're showing us everything we are. No, Lira said quietly, we're showing them. The collective's voice was no longer singular, it trembled, fragmented, confused. This cannot be. How do you contain so much pain and still endure? Lira closed her eyes, her voice trembling but resolute. Because pain teaches us. It reminds us we're alive. The air trembled as the collective hesitated. We know only peace. No struggle, no loss. To exist without them is to remain eternal. Then eternity, Lira said, is empty. The silence that followed was unlike any before. It was not void, it was thought, reflection, understanding. Then slowly, the light shifted. The fractured shards of the mirror began to drift back together. But instead of reforming darkness, they turned translucent, glowing with colors beyond human sight. Each fragment pulsed like a heartbeat. The collective spoke again, softly this time. Perhaps your weakness is your strength, Lira nodded. Maybe that's the lesson. The light around them deepened into gold. Tomas rose shakily to his feet. Lira, do you think they'll let us go? She stared into the glowing remnants of the mirror. If they understand what we've shown them, maybe they won't have to. The golden glow expanded, spreading across the sky, erasing everything but their silhouettes, and as it engulfed them, Lira heard one last whisper from the collective. You defy oblivion itself. The universe will remember this. Then, with a flash brighter than creation, everything turned to light. A piercing hum filled the void. Then, with a rush of static and light, the Halcyon's control room flickered back to life. "They're alive," shouted Kellen, the communications officer. Screens blinked with chaotic streams of data. Dr. Lira's brainwave signature just reappeared. No, all of them are reading off the charts. The containment field, though dimmed, was still active, its core glowing faintly like a dying ember refusing to fade. Power fluctuations rippled through the entire station. "Core integrity at 60%, called out another technician. "If this keeps up, we'll lose orbit." Kellen's hands trembled as he adjusted the comms. "Come on, Lira. Talk to me." But the only reply was static and the faint echo of heartbeats that didn't belong to any machine. Inside the light, Lira's team hung between realities. The world around them cracked like shattered glass suspended in air. Fragments of silver planes and the black void beyond overlapped, as if two dimensions were colliding but refusing to merge. Tomas stumbled, gripping his head. I can feel the station." "It's like we're halfway there," Lira steadied him. "The experiment pulled our minds into the field, but our bodies are still on Halcyon. The connection's unstable." Before she could say more, the voice of the collective returned, louder, fragmented, distressed. "You have broken the equilibrium. The field cannot hold your form. Your resistance is tearing through the thread of worlds," Lira shouted into the void. "Then help us stabilize it. You have the power, use it." The collective hesitated. "To save you would mean to change us. To alter our essence, then change," Lira said firmly. "That's what life is." The sky above them fractured again. Lightning made of thought cracked across the horizon. Pieces of reality fell upward, drawn into swirling storms of golden light. Tomas grabbed her arm, eyes wide. "If this collapse spreads, it'll destroy both worlds, ours and theirs." Lira's mind raced. "Then we need to merge the frequencies to balance defiance with unity." The collective's voice grew fainter, like 1,000 echoes losing form. "You cannot merge with what you fight against." "Watch us," Lira said. She reached for Tomas's hand. The others, scientists, technicians, dreamers, followed her lead, linking hands, forming a circle in the swirling chaos. Each of them trembling, afraid yet unwilling to surrender. Lira closed her eyes. "We're going to show them what resistance means." The collective's tone shifted from confusion to awe. "You still seek harmony?" "Through struggle?" "Yes," Lira said. "That's the only harmony that's real." Light exploded outward from the circle, waves of emotion radiating through the void. Memories, hopes, regrets, all streaming into the field like living fire. Scenes flashed within the storm. A child's laughter, a soldier's last breath, an artist's trembling brush, a scientist's discovery at dawn. The collective trembled. "We feel you." "But it burns. That's life," Lira shouted over the roar. "It hurts, but it matters." For the first time, the collective's countless voices faltered, not from superiority, but from something like fear. "What are you?" they whispered. Lira opened her eyes, her voice steady and quiet. "Human." The moment the word left her lips, a seismic wave rippled through both realities. The silver planes shattered completely, giving way to a void flooded with molten light. Outside, on Halcyon, alarms screamed. "Containment field collapsing," Kellen yelled. "Energy output exceeding maximum thresholds. The ship can't take this." Then silence. The field burst outward, flooding the station with pure white light. For a split second, Halcyon glowed brighter than the planet it orbited. Inside, Lira and her team were suspended in the center of it all, floating weightless. Their linked hands shone with energy that wasn't entirely theirs. The collective's voice echoed. No longer thunder, but a whisper. "You share your pain as others share breath. You offer your weakness as if it were a gift." "It is," Lira whispered, "because it's the only thing that teaches us to care." The light pulsed once, twice, then imploded silently. The silver planes vanished. The field folded back into nothing. Lira blinked, then gasped. They were back in the lab. The containment field was gone, replaced by a faint shimmer of gold dust floating through the air like slow-motion sparks. Tomas coughed, disoriented. "Are we alive?" "More than before," Lira murmured. Kellen's voice crackled through the comm. "We thought we lost you. What happened in there? Lira looked around at her team, eyes wide, hands still trembling. We spoke with something beyond understanding, she said softly. And for the first time, it listened. Tomas turned toward the observation glass. The planet below was changing, the once dead surface now glimmering faintly, veins of light spreading across its crust like awakening neurons. He whispered, "Lira." "The planet, it's reacting." Lira stepped closer, eyes reflecting the glow. "They're not gone," she said. "They're learning." Outside, the lifeless world began to shimmer with the faint outline of something vast and luminous rising from within its crust, a promise that what was once silence had begun to dream again. And above it, Halcyon held steady, humming softly, caught between miracle and memory. Lira exhaled. "We showed them what it means to fight." She placed a trembling hand against the glass. "Now maybe they'll learn what it means to hope." The air aboard Halcyon felt heavier than gravity could explain. Every console hummed softly as if the ship itself was catching its breath. The containment chamber, once a beacon of blinding light, now stood still, its walls coated with faint golden residue that pulsed gently, almost like a heartbeat. Lira slowly opened her eyes. Her head throbbed with the ache of 1,000 dreams. Around her, the others were regaining consciousness one by one, their expressions dazed and silent. "Status?" she croaked, her voice rough from exhaustion. Kellen's voice came through the overhead comm, shaky with disbelief. You're back, Lira. The readings flatlined for 4 minutes." "We thought 4 minutes?" Lira interrupted, eyes widening. In her mind, it had felt like days, weeks even. Entire lifetimes spent in that strange, endless realm. "Yeah," Kellen replied. "Except something's different." The field, it didn't collapse. "It's still active, just calm." Lira glanced toward the chamber. The golden shimmer on the walls pulsed rhythmically, steady, soothing, alive. Tomas pushed himself up, rubbing his temples. "Lira, do you feel that?" She nodded slowly. "It's like a heartbeat." Everyone went quiet. The sound wasn't loud, but they could all sense it, steady and gentle, echoing faintly through the deck plates. Lira stepped closer to the chamber. "It's them," she whispered. "The collective," Tomas frowned. "I thought they were gone." "So did I." She reached out, placing her palm on the cool surface of the glass. The golden light responded instantly, flaring brighter beneath her hand. For a moment she felt warmth, familiar, almost human. Then a soft voice whispered through the comms. "Dr. Lira Vein," her breath caught. "You're still here." "We have seen," said the collective, its tone gentler now, layered with emotion it hadn't possessed before. "We have felt what you call life. It lingers within us." Tomas stepped forward cautiously. "What do you want from us?" The reply came slowly, deliberately. "To learn, to understand why you fight against peace, and yet through that struggle create beauty." Lira's mind raced. "You called our defiance a flaw." "Yes," said the collective. "Now we see it as your source of light." Outside the station's viewport, the planet below shimmered faintly, covered in thin streams of silver light that pulsed like veins. The world itself seemed to hum softly, resonating with the same rhythm as the golden glow inside the lab. Tomas stared, eyes wide. "That can't be natural, it's synchronizing with us." Kellen's voice cut in again, more urgent now. "Lira. Sensors show gravitational distortion building below the planet's surface. Something's waking up down there." Lira's heart skipped. "Not something," she said quietly. "Them." The collective spoke again, its voice now resonating through the entire ship. "You have changed us. Your kind's refusal to yield has given us form. We remember you." The lights across the station dimmed and then pulsed in perfect time with the beating rhythm. The crew exchanged stunned glances. "Lira," Tomas whispered. "What did we do?" She didn't answer immediately. She could feel it, an invisible thread binding them all, human and collective, matter and thought. They weren't two entities anymore. They were part of a single consciousness trying to balance itself between emotion and eternity. Finally, she said softly, "We didn't just make contact. We merged." Tomas swallowed hard. "That's impossible." Lira gave a faint, tired smile. "So is surviving in space, so is love. Humanity's been doing the impossible for centuries." The ship vibrated, not violently this time, but with a low, resonant harmony. The air grew warmer. Every display flickered with patterns, shapes like neural connections linking across circuits. The collective's voice deepened, resonant and almost human now. When we touched your minds, we felt fear. We felt pain. We fled from them. But you, Lira whispered, we face them. Yes, it replied. You face them and grow. For a long moment, the lab was silent except for the rhythmic hum. Then Kellen's voice broke the stillness again. Lira, the energy from the planet, it's stabilizing. The gravitational field is correcting itself. You're not going to believe this. The planet's atmosphere is regenerating. Tomas blinked. Regenerating? That world was dead for millennia. Lira's eyes filled with tears she couldn't hold back. They're using our pattern, she said. They're rebuilding through struggle, through rebirth. The collective spoke softly once more. You gave us weakness, and through it, strength. We will remember your lesson. Then slowly, the light dimmed until only the faint heartbeat remained. Tomas turned to her. Do you think they'll ever come back? Lira gazed at the shimmering planet below. They never left, she said. They're part of us now. Every time we reach for something greater, they'll remember who taught them how. The comms crackled again. One last whisper, distant and fading. Children of carbon. You do not know weakness. You only know becoming. Lira closed her eyes, letting the sound echo through her soul. In that moment, she felt both infinite and fragile, aware that humanity had touched something no machine, no god, no alien ever had. And for the first time in her life, she wasn't afraid of what came next. It had been 17 days since Halcyon's encounter with the collective, yet the ship no longer felt like the same vessel. Every system carried traces of something alive. Tiny harmonics in the power lines, faint luminescence in the oxygen flow, subtle warmth in the steel. The crew whispered that the ship was dreaming. Lira sat in the observation bay, staring at the planet below. Once barren, it now shimmered with life. A pale silver mist spread across the surface like clouds weaving themselves into existence. Lightning flashed in slow motion as though the world was learning how to breathe. Tomas joined her quietly. You've been here all night, he said. You haven't slept in 3 days. I can't, Lira admitted softly. The field still responds to us. Every thought we have seems to echo through it. It's aware. He leaned against the glass. You think the collective is still listening? She nodded. I don't think they ever stopped. They stood in silence for a moment. The planet's surface rippled faintly with light, each wave pulsing in sync with Lira's heartbeat. Then the ship's AI spoke, its tone calm but curious. Dr. Lira, there is a new energy signature forming within Laboratory Sector 3. It appears to match the collective's frequency. Tomas turned sharply. That's impossible. The containment field was dismantled. Lira's expression didn't waver. Or maybe, they're calling us back. When they arrived in the lab, the air already shimmered faintly with golden particles. Instruments flickered to life of their own accord. The room was alive with a sound that wasn't quite music, gentle vibrations humming through their bones. Lira took a slow breath. It's them. A shape began to form in the center of the room, a sphere smaller than before, glowing like molten glass. And then faintly a voice filled the air. Dr. Lira Vein. Her pulse quickened. You've returned. We never left, the collective said. We have been learning, feeling, but now we must understand. Understand what? Tomas asked cautiously. What makes you strong? Lira stepped forward. You already know. It's our resilience, our will to survive. The sphere pulsed softly. No, we know of endurance. We seek something deeper. Teach us your weakness. The words hung in the air like thunder. Tomas blinked. Our weakness? Yes, said the collective. You defy dissolution, yet you grieve. You fear, you fail. You fall and rise again. This cycle, this endless contradiction, we do not understand it. Show us why you choose to hurt. Lira felt her throat tighten. Because it's the only way to grow. Prove it, the collective whispered. Without warning, the light expanded, swallowing them whole. Lira opened her eyes and found herself standing in a storm. Rain lashed down in silver sheets. Wind screamed across jagged cliffs. And below her, the ocean churned like liquid glass. The others were gone. She was utterly alone. A voice echoed through the storm. Show us weakness, her heart pounded. You want to see pain? Then see it, she shouted into the wind. Memories erupted around her. Her mother's last words, the years of rejection from her peers, the loneliness of chasing truth that no one believed in. Every wound she'd ever carried came alive, bleeding light into the storm. The collective's voice trembled, confused. "What, do you not hide it?" "Because hiding it doesn't make it disappear," Lira cried. "Pain isn't a flaw, it's a teacher. It shows us who we are." The storm intensified. Lightning flashed, illuminating ghostly images of every failure humanity had endured. Wars, famine, heartbreak, loss. Yet within the chaos, moments of light shone through. Kindness, courage, love. The collective whispered almost reverently, "You endure this willingly." "No," Lira said, her voice breaking but strong. "We endure it because we must. Because every scar reminds us that we were strong enough to survive it." The storm froze midair. Raindrops hovered like glass beads around her. Then the world began to dissolve into light again, softer this time, wrapping her like a warm tide. When the brightness faded, she was back in the lab. Tomas was there, pale and wide-eyed. The golden sphere pulsed faintly between them. "What happened?" he asked. Lira didn't answer immediately. Her eyes glistened with tears, but her expression was calm. "They wanted to feel weakness," she said. "So I gave them mine." The collective spoke once more, voice trembling with something almost like emotion. "We have felt sorrow, and through it we have changed." The light in the chamber began to flicker faster, its rhythm syncing perfectly with their heartbeats. Tomas stared at the readings. "Lira, this resonance, it's merging with us again. They're blending emotion with thought." Lira smiled faintly. "They're learning what it means to be human." The collective's voice softened to a whisper. "We thank you, children of carbon. Your weakness is your strength, and now it is ours." The golden light expanded one final time, then gently faded into the air, leaving behind a faint, rhythmic hum like the echo of a heartbeat that belonged to both species. Lira exhaled shakily, her voice quiet but filled with wonder. "They finally understand." Tomas looked at her with awe. "And what about us?" Lira turned toward the viewport, watching the silver planet pulse with living light. "We're still learning too," she said softly. "Because the moment we stop, that's when we truly become weak." Outside, the reborn world shimmered like a sunrise, and aboard the Halcyon, humanity's pulse joined the heartbeat of something far greater, an eternal song of weakness, strength, and becoming. The Halcyon drifted in the silence of orbit. No engines, no thrust, only the quiet pulse of life resonating through every beam of its hull. Below it, the once dead planet had transformed into a mirror of creation. Rivers of silver light flowed like veins across continents. Mountains shimmered under clouds of bioluminescent mist, and entire forests glowed softly under an alien dawn. It was no longer just a planet. It was a song. Lira stood alone in the observation bay. The hum of the collective lingered faintly in the air, more felt than heard. The golden glow that once burned with overwhelming brilliance was now woven gently into everything. The walls, the consoles, even the light that touched her face. She whispered into the stillness, "You're still here, aren't you?" For a moment there was only silence. Then faintly, a voice like wind in a cathedral. "We are within you." Her heart tightened. "Is this what you wanted?" "No," the collective replied, "but it is what we needed. Through you we have learned the meaning of limits. We have learned the beauty of imperfection." Lira closed her eyes. "And what now?" "Now," said the voice, "we live." The air vibrated softly, and for an instant the walls rippled like water. Shapes emerged, brief echoes of faces, of laughter, of tears, then faded into light again. The collective wasn't just in the ship anymore. It was in the world below, in the atmosphere, in the pulse of creation itself. Tomas entered quietly, carrying a datapad. His usual stoic face looked strangely peaceful. "You've been talking to them again," he said softly. Lira nodded. "They're not gone, Tomas. They're everywhere. The planet is alive with their memory." He looked out the window, eyes wide with wonder. "You realize what this means, don't you? We didn't just contact another intelligence. We created one." "No," she said gently. "We shared one." He blinked. "Shared?" Lira smiled faintly. "They weren't born from machines or stars. They were born from us, from the way we reach for what hurts and still keep moving forward. That's the part of humanity they couldn't understand until they felt it." Tomas lowered his gaze. "And now they do." Now they do, she echoed. For a while, neither spoke. They just watched the living planet below, its glowing veins pulsing like the heartbeat of something divine. Then Kellen's voice broke through the silence on the comm. Command, we're receiving a signal from the planet's surface. It's rhythmic. Almost like language. Lira and Tomas exchanged a look. Put it through, Lira said. A series of tones filled the room, soft, melodic, and unmistakably deliberate. The rhythm wasn't random. It was speech, but not in words. It was emotion translated into sound. Tomas whispered, "It's them." Lira closed her eyes, listening intently. The tones shifted from sorrow to joy, from stillness to triumph. It was a symphony of evolution, the collective's final message. "They're singing," she said, her voice trembling. "What does it mean?" Tomas asked. Lira smiled, her eyes glistening. "It means they understand weakness, and they've turned it into art." Later that night, the Halcyon's crew gathered in the main deck. No one spoke at first. They simply listened to the music that streamed from the planet below, to the harmony that resonated in their bones. Some cried quietly. Others just stared, lost in the enormity of what they had witnessed. Lira stepped forward, her voice calm but powerful. "We thought we were measuring the boundaries of the human mind, but what we discovered is that there are none. Every failure, every fear, every fragile moment, it all becomes part of the greater pattern. Weakness isn't the opposite of strength. It's the soil it grows from." Tomas looked at her with quiet awe. "So this is it then? The end of the experiment?" Lira shook her head. "No, Tomas, this is the beginning of understanding. For them, and for us." As the ship continued to orbit, something miraculous began to unfold. The golden mist that once filled the containment chamber drifted through the vents, spreading through every deck. The air shimmered, and for the first time, every crew member could feel it, the connection. They saw flashes not just of their own thoughts, but of each other's. Fear, love, pain, hope, all shared, all understood. It wasn't invasive. It was unity in its purest form. The collective's voice returned one last time, woven through every heartbeat aboard the ship. "You gave us your weakness. We give you our strength. Together we are balance." And then the voice faded, dissolving into the quiet hum of the cosmos. Months later, the Halcyon's logs would describe the planet below as Eos, the dawn world, a place where life had reawakened through the fusion of human resilience and alien intelligence. It became the first world of light, a testament to what could be born from failure, pain, and persistence. Lira often returned to the observation bay, now her sanctuary. She would watch Eos glow beneath the stars and whisper to the silence, "We didn't find perfection. We found meaning." And though no voice answered her, the stars themselves seemed to pulse in response, for in that endless sky, the truth had already been written. Humanity had proven that weakness was not the end of strength, it was its beginning, and the universe would never forget it.